This video is sponsored by FoxyPirate935. Thanks so much and I hope you enjoy the video. What kind of anime even is this? Like, what exactly is going on here? Oh god. This anime has furry waifu! Many people may not know this, but the anime industry has had a huge effect on media as a whole. Not just in the States. In fact, lots of countries have taken cues from different animes, due to their huge popularity. When you live in a world where the death of one of the great manga artists, named Akira Toriyama, for example, was enough to stop cartel activity just to respect his passing, then you know that Japanese animation and media is something special. We've seen a lot of different anime-inspired shows here in the States, like the original Teen Titans, not that Teen Titans Go bullshit, Hi Puffy Amiyumi, Ruby, and even Thundercats of all things. Even the American Mega Man TV show had an actual anime opening that blew everyone out of the gate. If only the actual show had the same budget.
I knew you'd risk yourself for Mr. Lincoln.
Nowadays, I can see just how much of an influence that media from across the pond has on American media. However, it would take me a while to understand that anime has influenced so many other countries, one of which would create a fairly interesting show that I feel many have seen, but may not remember. Fortunately, thanks to a viewer of the channel, they paid, not just requested, paid me to watch this specific series in full, which is now a part of the $100 Patreon tier. If you guys want to actually tell me to do something or look at something, can be anything, a game or a movie or something, I don't know, it's right there, and give my own analysis on it. So, what's this series? What exactly am I getting into today?
You see the shop some banter.
Well, thank you very much. Always nice to hear that kind of thing. Your words are hurtful, Mr. Adventurer, and very misleading as well. In my shop, you will find riches that you will not see anywhere else.
You had my attention, but now you have my Wakfu! Don't say that 5 times fast. Whack that fool! Wakfu is an anime-inspired French cartoon series that was released on October 8th of 2008. Produced by Ankama Animations, the series was based on a game called Dofus, which was a Windows MMO released on September 2004 in France and October 2005 in America. The game is even still available to play to this day. You can get it on mobile devices from the Google Play Store. Maybe we'll look into that later. That can be another time sink I get stuck in for a few long months. Directed by Anthony Takru, the series would be pretty damn successful. Many have talked about this series before, but I never really got into it as a kid. I remember watching the first couple of episodes and enjoying my time with the show, but I guess it didn't stick as well as I thought. But now that I'm older, I can now watch TV shows with an open mind and critical thinking. So, as of today, I promise to this entire channel that I will watch the entire series of Wakfu. Shouldn't be too hard. I mean, the series can't have that many episodes. 4 seasons, 78 episodes, 4 specials, and 3 OVAs. This series was here to stay. To my knowledge, the 4th season seems to be the last one. Oh wait, they announced a 5th season. Lovely! Okay, so here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna talk about 1 season of video. That way, this video isn't too long, and I can go in depth a little bit about specific episodes. I'll also end each video with a little bit of information about one other form of Wakfu's media, like games, or possible comics, or even merchandise. We good? Well, I hope so, because that's how we're doing this. Alright, so before we get into the first episode, let's talk about the translation. So the series first started off in France, however a Kickstarter was put out for fans overseas to get an English dub going in 2014. However, the series would have 2 other teasers for these English dubs. One was at London MCM Expo, and was allegedly worked on by the folks who worked on the English translation for Code Lyoko, the show with them big ass foreheads. Another dubbed pilot would be shown at Anime Expo 2011. This one recorded by Ocean Studios, who are known for dubbing the live-action Death Note movies, the Hulk vs. Duology, the goated Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes cartoon, the aforementioned 80s Mega Man cartoon, X-Men Evolutions, and as well as many animes such as Death Note, Dragon Ball Z, the Fatal Fury movies, Inuyasha, Mega Man NT Warrior, also known as Mega Man.exe, a shit ton of Mobile Suit Gundam series, and the Darkstalkers anime. So yeah, pretty stacked resume. With how great the resume for the dubbing is, the series is bound to have some badass voice direction, right?
You had Poltas here as well? They invaded 2 of the villages. They come from the Forbidden Forest.
Sure hope so. Alright, let's get into this. I won't be going too in detail for each episode, mostly so you guys can enjoy yourselves. I'll be doing a kind of synopsis of the first couple of episodes to give you the main setup, while also giving my honest opinion on the animation, voice direction, and story plot as we go. This is going to be a long one, so grab yourself a snack, maybe a drink, and relax. Take your time, I'll wait. Man, I ain't waiting for your old dumbass. We open to this old guy, a special old guy, who's just minding his own business while a bunch of villagers start whispering and muttering about him being around. You see, kids, this is called racism. It's unknown who this person is. In fact, all we know is that he is pushing a little baby carriage and is heading out of town. He's stopped by a bunch of assassins/thieves who kind of look like Yordles from League of Legends, before ultimately being stopped by a robot guy with time powers. Dio, is that you? He states that he senses something with a large amount of Wakfu, which is essentially the life force in this world. Old guy doesn't take kindly to him and proceeds to beat the living shit out of the guy and makes his way out of there without breaking a sweat. We then meet 2 other important characters named Alibert and Rule, who are bounty hunters. Alibert quits, the old dude leaves the baby with a small little round birdie, or tofu as they're called in this world, and secretly leads Alibert to them both, where he takes the kiddo in as his own, but not before finding a glowing blue feather which ends up transferring a bunch of symbols into his mind. We don't know what they mean yet though. Fast forward 12 years later, Alibert has an inn/restaurant and has raised his adopted son, now known as Hugo, in the small town of Amelka? Yeah, Amelka, that's the one. They named the bird Oz, by the way. A bunch of exposition happens, like showing off these 2 ladies who definitely have simps, even though they're definitely not 18, especially the one without fucking shoes. And then Hugo accidentally finds out he has magic powers. Yeah, he can just make portals, a la Portal 2 style. But we don't have time to dawdle on that because a monster comes into the inn, breaks a bunch of shit, and Rule and Hugo go to fight it. Apparently it's a monster that takes control of people, and to get it off, you have to pull it off, which turns this noseless guy back to normal. It's here also that Albert tells Hugo that he has to find his real family right after this attack. But he can't even process that because now the town is being attacked by different monsters. They're the Heartless. And that's episode 1. Okay, so my thoughts after watching this. First of all, I love the artwork. The colors are bright and vibrant, characters are interesting to look at and are unique from one another, and the animation isn't bad at all. Apparently the animation was done using Adobe Flash of all things, which I can kinda see, but it's definitely at a higher quality. I think I could tell mostly with how the mouths are moving. It has that Flash feel to it. Yet the action sequences are not bad whatsoever. It feels really high quality. The VA and line delivery is a bit of a mixed bag though. Most of the time it's fine, it's just that sometimes it feels like the characters are speaking really fast in order to match the lines with the mouth movements. That was prevalent in a lot of dubs back in the day, but this dub came out in the 2010s. Dubbing was far better at that point in moment. It's not too noticeable, but I do catch it from time to time. Alright, so episode 2 kicks off and now the entire village is going into a panic because of these little creatures called Heartless, Pottlers. They may be small, but they're a big deal due to them having the ability to turn the citizens into shrubs if they touch them. During the defense against these guys, Albert gets turned into a shrub, and Hugo has to find a way to turn him back. Fortunately, he won't be alone due to Rule tagging along, as well as the no-nose guy from the first episode. His name is Sir Percidal, who is a lop, apparently. Although people say it's a yop, so yeah, I don't know why it's an I, and they say yop, but whatever, it's probably due to freaking French. That's the name of the species, and his sword not only is alive, but it also talks! It's called Rubelex. it's a shoo-shoo. And apparently it's a demon. It's also what ended up possessing him too. So the trio makes their way into the Forbidden Forest, which is where the Pottlers came from. During their travels, they run into the simped over ladies. Again, probably not 18 for what I looked up. I think so. I don't know 100%. But if they are 18, then I retract that statement. But if not, I'm putting the actual ages on the screen. That we saw briefly in episode 1 and helped them stay destrubbed during another attack. It's here that we learn the names of the show's added support characters, Amalia Sharon Charm, and her bodyguard Evangeline, who Percival can't not stop trying to rizz up for some reason. Bro really wants his princess. They're on a pilgrimage from their home kingdom and just so happen to run into Yugo and his companions. The five go deeper into the forest, run into an area where all the Wakfu has been taken, get ambushed by a bunch of evil, derpy looking trees. A giant tree picks up Amalia, thinking that she's someone named Leaf, I think. She calms him down, gives him Wakfu to help him grow healthy, and he calls off the Pottlers and has them turn everyone back to normal.
Wait for it.
But the disaster strikes not even a minute later. The robot guy, now known as Nox from the first episode, shows up, pulls a Dio Brando, and tries to find out the reason why Yugo has so much Wakfu in his system. Turns out he's from a race of people known as Heliotrope, who are descendants of dragons. And after being forced to look at a message, which was in a feather that was stuck on Az the entire time, tries to get him to tell him what the message said. Basically said to go to Oma Island, since that's where his race lives. But big boy Alibert says fuck that and starts to force himself through the time stop spell and actually almost kills the robot guy. And unfortunately it ages him, so now he's an old man. After all of that, Yugo, Rule, Percival, Amalia, and Evangeline go out in search of Oma Island. Yeah, Amalia makes Evangeline tag along because I'm an adventurer, Daddy will understand, we will not tell him. This will definitely not bite her in the ass later. And that's the main plot, at least for season 1. I'll go over other main plot points that get revealed later, but that'll be in the spoiler section. For now, let's talk about the quality of the episodes. Most of the episodes in the first half of the season don't exactly contribute much to the overarching plot, which is finding Oma Island and searching for Yugo's family. They're kind of there to build up the world and showcase different villages and species and other things that make up the Wakfu world. That's not to say that it's a bad thing. In fact, a lot of these episodes have a kind of Saturday morning cartoon vibe to them, which I can get behind quite a bit. It feels like I'm watching a MLP show where most episodes are self-contained, but then you have those episodes later that contribute to an arcing plot that's unfolding in the background. One of my favorite episodes was the Gabol Inferno trilogy of episodes, where they had the gang facing off against the opposite team in a Gabol match. Shit was like an Inazuma 11 episode, except the game feels more like rugby. Something that surprised me about this show was how much the later episodes showcased a large amount of character development. Like, Percival is over here getting his own episode where he quits being an adventurer, finds his old master, trains a bit, tames a sword, and then gets the biggest glow up of the century. He even has melanin and shit. That ain't Percival anymore, that's Perquise! The story is also fairly easy to follow, while also not being so damn in your face with everything, especially where Nox is concerned. Dude's motivation becomes apparent near the end of the season, and I gotta say, a part of me started to feel sorry for him once I figured out his whole deal. Notice how I said a part of me felt sorry. Also, can I just say real quick that the opening for this show has no damn reason to go this hard? Like, what the hell? I was not expecting this show to have a banger soundtrack like this. Even the original French version goes hard. Like, god damn!
Across time and space, jumping through the gates, a hero lies in you.
Alright, so for all the good that the season has, there are a couple things about it that made me kind of scratch my head. For starters, the sound mixing. There are a lot of moments where the sound effects that are used are way too silent, too muffled, or are just not present. Usually when someone is speaking, the sound effects take a kind of back seat. This isn't just once or twice, too. This happens a lot in the show.
Get this party started! Yeah.
Also, characters really enjoy grunting and making sounds when moving or attacking, even when their mouths aren't moving. Like, Percival is seen fighting a bunch of monsters by himself. He's grunting with every single movement he makes. Sometimes people can fight without making grunts and exclamatory sounds. It happens all the time, even in anime. Another thing is that they definitely should have gotten some more takes with some of the voice deliveries. Now, the VAs did a pretty good job with their work, but maybe allowing them to put a little more into their deliveries could help just a tad. Like, Personal's voice deliveries sound almost the exact same with no differences, even when he's sad, or mad, or happy. Maybe a little bit of a rasp is heard when he's angry, but that's about it. I don't know, maybe I'm just being nitpicky, but to me, if the VAs were given some different direction, it would be better in my head. Other than that though, the first season kicks major ass. Hell, I even found myself getting enthralled with the story and what they had planned for the plot. And that only got even larger when we got into the final half of the season, because that is where shit gets real. Skip to this spot if you don't want spoilers. You have been warned, alright? On to the spoilers now. So basically what we learn about after they accidentally shipwrecked onto Omer Island is that Yugo has a twin brother named Adamai. And yes, the two are twins, even though they look nothing alike. You see, these two came from the same Dophis, which is an egg that houses one heliotrope and one dragon. Grogoloragran. Parallelogram, who was the one that gave Yugo away to his father, was taking care of Adamai and teaching him shit while they waited for Yugo to make it back over there. Unfortunately, this reunion is cut short because Nox shows up and goes to fight the old dragon. However, he sends them away so that they can't fight and so that Yugo and the others don't get hurt. Oh, but unfortunately, Parallelogram over here loses and gets his Wakfu sucked out. No one knows what happens to him. Turns out that Nox's plan is to use this crazy little powerful item called the Elia Cube, which was something that the Heliotropes created, to drain the Tree of Life. I'm gonna explain that, don't worry, just lock in for me real quick. The Tree of Life is essentially the life force of the Sedita race, which is protected by the Sedita Kingdom, who Amalia acts as the princess for. Since Yugo and the others know this, they split up, with Yugo and Adamai heading to the opposite side of the world to find Grogoloragram's Dophis, while Percival, Rule, Amalia, and Evangeline head back to the Sedita Kingdom to warn them of the impending war. Yeah, that ass ended up getting fucked over because the king of Sedita hasn't returned from the Tree of Life, so that means Amalia's brother is ruling over them, but he is an asshole. Percival and him fight, and Percival wins! Too bad the Rubelux took over his body and made him go ballistic, which caused him to destroy Ava's bow, which makes him quickly fuck off afterwards. Oh yeah, and Rule gets imprisoned because of this, but makes it back to his home! He later gets a pet pig thing, and then sets out to make it back home in what is essentially a mini drilling machine. Ava and Amalia head out to bring the king back. They succeed, they tell them about what's going on, and Yugo and Adamai make it back after learning that he could basically shoot Kamehameha waves with his portals. No idea how that even works. Oh yeah, he also now has Grugel's Dophis now. Percival also goes on a journey of self-discovery after he quits being a knight, but he runs into his master and gains his confidence once again. He fights his demon sword Rubelex, gets a badass fit, a darker can, and sets out to meet the others once again. That's my boy right there. That's Perquise! Okay, here comes the endgame. The war starts, and it seems like the Sedita Kingdom is actually winning, but it turns out it was all a ploy for a special goon, can I say that now without the world uses the word goon, to create a portal that'll bring Nox over to the Tree of Life in an instant. Yugo and the others destroy the super goons again. Oh, can I use that word? Well, Amalia does most of the work because apparently she has but essentially a Dark Sonic Super Saiyan form that makes her absolutely busted and allows her to destroy them. But that doesn't do much because afterwards she's super weak and the entire forest has been reduced to rubble thanks to this machine that can apparently shoot time blasts. How you make something like that, I'm not sure. The others try to fight the machine, but it's too strong. So Yugo and Adamai head into the giant clock robot thingy to fight Nox head on, like it's some freaking Shadow of the Colossus boss. Amalia, Ava, and Percival should be able to beat him though, right? No problems here. No! No! Perquise! Oh yeah, and Rule comes back, I guess. A little late, you little bitch. Alright, so I'm gonna be so real when I say this. But this last battle is both the coolest and funniest shit ever. So Yugo and Adamai fight Nox and try to stop the Elia Cube from draining the Tree of Life. Adamai gets knocked out and the tree ends up getting all of his Wakfu sucked out. In the worst way possible, not in the good way. So all of the Sedita people basically die, but Yugo is able to basically teleport the giant clock Shadow of the Colossus machine away, and somehow is able to supercharge himself with more Wakfu from the Elia Cube, which allows him to fly, teleport faster, and break through Nox's time stop ability. I mean, bro was putting the pause on that bitch. He didn't care. And yet Yugo still loses the fight. So Nox decides to use the Elia Cube to turn back time 200 years into the past, because apparently he wants to fix something that happened that caused his family to perish. Yep, he's doing all of this to bring back his loved ones. Time turns back, but instead of going back 200 years, it only goes back 20 minutes. So him winning, him destroying the Tree of Life, all that shit was undone, and Yugo and Adamai are the only ones who knew what happened. Oh, also the entire clock Shadow of the Colossus robot was destroyed, leaving Nox in a pile of scrap. He ends up disappearing after he looked out at everything he had done, and after seeing Yugo stop the Sedita people from basically going out to kill him, he just goes, "Farewell, Yugo," and then just disappears out of nowhere without even so much as a fight. I guess he just lost all of his reasoning, lost all of his desire to keep going. Now, the Elia Cube and Grugel's Dolphus are being protected by the Sedita people, where Ava, Rule, Amalia, and Yugo all reside for now. Percival now has a statue, and Ava, who loves Percival by the way, as it was teased throughout the entire season, goes to write a story about his bravery in order to help make him a legend. Now, the Brotherhood of the Tofu look out into the horizon, unknowing of what new adventure shall await them in the very near future. And that's the main events of the first season. This one was actually not bad. I mean, it was pretty fucking amazing. Animation was well done, the music is phenomenal, the story is gripping and full of character development, and some of the ladies in the series are hot as fuck. I mean, look at Miranda, bro. Look at the furry ladies. I had a really good time with this first season, and I kind of think I'll be watching the later seasons as well. Not just because I was paid to do it, this is one part of the reason, but because it was actually quite enjoyable. Thing is, what if there was another way to enjoy this series if you didn't have Netflix? Well, that's easy. Apparently, there's a Wakfu manga that was released in 2023. The events in it followed the second season, so it's best to watch the first 2 seasons first before digging into this. Though, you could always do what I did and just look up the panels with Miranda in it. That's always an option. Why did I do this, you may ask? No reason, don't reason at all, don't ask. Well, that was the first season. I feel like I got through a lot of this. How many more episodes do we have to go through now? Oh, we're gonna be here for a while.